I stood on the street corner across from the flower shop, holding 999 red roses that had just been delivered. My eyes were locked on the couple kissing just a short distance away. The man was Ethan, Mia's ex-boyfriend. I'd seen his picture on her Instagram feed before, back when she'd laughed and said, "We're long over. We're just friends." The woman was Mia, my girlfriend of 7 years. My fiancée, who was supposed to go to City Hall with me tomorrow to get her marriage license. Right now, she was on her toes, her hands laced around Ethan's neck, her cheek pressed against his chest in a way I had never seen before. It wasn't a polite greeting, not a friendly hello. It was a real, lingering kiss filled with affection. I felt like someone had dumped a bucket of ice water over my head, the chill seeping from my scalp to the soles of my feet. My mind flooded with a highlight reel of the last 7 years. Our first date, when she was so nervous she knocked over a latte, and I laughed while wiping the foam from her lips. The late nights she worked, and I'd wait 2 hours outside her office building just to hand her a hot chocolate. Her mom's hospital stay last year, when I took time off work to be there, emptying bedpans without a single complaint. Last week, when we were picking out finishes for our first condo, she leaned on my shoulder and whispered, "It's going to be so good, waking up next to you every morning." Her voice was filled with what I thought was boundless love. All those moments I believed were so sweet, so sincere, now felt like a joke. I raised my phone and hit record, aiming it at the two of them. In the frame, Mia turned her head slightly. I saw her close her eyes, actively returning Ethan's kiss. My heart felt like it was being squeezed by a giant fist, the pain so sharp I couldn't breathe. So this was what she meant this morning when she said, "I'm going to help my best friend pick out a gift this afternoon. I'll text you later." She was going to see her ex, so her tenderness could be given to another man at a moment's notice. So after 7 years together, I wasn't even worthy of the truth. The scent of the roses mixed with the exhaust fumes from the street, and all I felt was nausea. I shoved the massive bouquet into a trash can on the curb. My phone was still lit up in my hand. Mia's last text was still there, a message that now felt like a needle in my eye. "After we sign the papers, let's go to that steakhouse you love." I stood there, frozen, as they finally broke apart. Mia reached up and adjusted the collar on Ethan's jacket, the motion so natural, so practiced. And they walked away, side by side. They looked so perfect together, so right, that it made me feel like I was the one who had been intruding on their story for the past 7 years. A gust of wind made me shiver, and suddenly my head was clear. 7 years of devotion, a lifetime of promises, it was all fake. Getting a license tomorrow? Forget it. This marriage wasn't happening. I didn't spare them another glance. I just turned and walked away. The image of her on her toes, her arms wrapped around Ethan's neck, played on a loop in my head, each replay a fresh spike of pain behind my eyes. I remember my birthday last year. She'd held me just like that, promising to spend the rest of her life with me. She even knitted me a scarf, the stitches crooked and uneven, but I treasured it. I really thought she was the one. 7 years, from college kids to working adults. We were supposed to have made it. And the result? The day before we make it official, I find her kissing her ex. The anger churned in my stomach. I had even secretly drafted a post for Instagram. Ready to go up tomorrow. 7 years down. Forever to go. Looking at it now, it was just pathetic. I opened my drafts, and without a moment's hesitation, deleted it. The wind felt cold on my face as I walked home, but I was numb. I pulled up the confirmation for our appointment at the county clerk's office. The words "cancel appointment" stared back at me. My finger hovered over the screen, but I couldn't press it. Not because I was having second thoughts, but because I couldn't believe it. 7 years. We had squeezed on a crowded subway cars during rush hour, cooked instant noodles in our tiny studio apartment, and saved every penny for a down payment, not even buying new clothes for ourselves. I thought our bond was unbreakable, but it was this fragile. Back in my apartment, I kicked off my shoes and collapsed onto the sofa. The video was still on my phone. I pressed play, turned up the volume, and watched Mia's eager response, clear as day. I watched it again and again until my eyes burned. The last shred of hesitation vanished. My finger went back to the appointment page, and this time, there was no pause. I hit cancel appointment. The second I did it, my mom called, telling me to hurry over to the restaurant. Right? I was supposed to have brought Mia to a celebratory dinner with my family tonight. I grabbed my keys and walked out the door. The private room at the restaurant was buzzing with chatter. I sat in a corner, unconsciously rubbing the edge of my phone case. Mia had bought it for me last year. It had a picture of us on it. Now it felt greasy in my hand. Everyone at the table was talking about tomorrow's appointment and the wedding plans. My mom was beaming. "Mia is such a sensible girl," she said. "She'll take good care of you." My dad nodded in agreement, teasing me. "So, when are you giving us grandkids?" while we've still got the energy to help out. Everyone was caught up in the happy moment. I was the only one who felt like an outsider, sitting in silence. All I could think about was Mia, who had been sending me cute texts this morning about how she wanted to look pretty for our big day, and then spent the afternoon in another man's arms. My stomach turned. Just then, the door slid open and Mia walked in. She was wearing the cream-colored dress I'd bought for her last month with my bonus check. I remember she threw her arms around me and kissed me, saying, "Leo, you're so good to me." Seeing her in it now was just another bitter irony. She walked straight to my side and slipped her arm through mine, her fingers brushing gently against my wrist. That gesture used to melt me. Now all I wanted to do was pull away. "Everyone's here," Mia said, smiling at my parents and relatives. Her voice was sickeningly sweet, but her eyes wouldn't meet mine. They darted around the room, like she was hiding something. She leaned in, whispering so only I could hear, "We have to get up early tomorrow, so don't drink too much tonight, okay?" I didn't answer her. I didn't even look at her. A memory flashed in my mind. A family dinner a few years ago, when she held my arm just like this and told my mom, "Don't worry, I'll take good care of Leo." Her eyes were so bright back then, so full of sincerity. I thought I had finally found my happiness. Turns out, the happiness was a lie. The betrayal was real. Dishes were served, and glasses were raised again and again. My mom stood up, cleared her throat. "All right, everyone, let's raise a glass. A toast to Leo and Mia. May your life together be prosperous and happy." Everyone got to their feet, glasses held high, faces beaming. Mia stood up too, her grip on my arm tightening. She gave me a little nudge, a signal to raise my glass. I took a deep breath, fighting down the nausea. I didn't raise my glass. Instead, I picked up my phone from the table. My voice was quiet, but cut through the noise. "Before we toast to us, why don't you all watch a little video? You can decide if you still want to offer your blessings after." The room went silent. The cheerful buzz vanished. My mom stared at me, confused. "Leo, what are you talking about? What video?" Mia's body went rigid. Her hand on my arm loosened. "Leo, don't mess around," she said, her voice laced with panic. "Everyone's waiting to toast." I ignored her. I opened the video, cranked the volume to the max, and turned the screen to face the table. The image of Mia, on her toes, arms wrapped around Ethan's neck, kissing him passionately, filled the screen for everyone to see. The once lively room was now so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Every eye was glued to my phone, then shot in unison to Mia. Their expressions were pure shock. The color drained from Mia's face. She scrambled to grab my phone, her voice trembling. "Now, stop it. What is this nonsense? It's a misunderstanding. It has to be." I stepped back, keeping the phone out of her reach. I stared into her panicked eyes. A misunderstanding? I saw it with my own two eyes. How could it be fake? Her cousin suddenly slammed her hand on the table, pointing at me. "Leo, what is your problem? Did your phone get a virus or something? We all know what kind of person Mia is. Don't you dare make things up." I let out a cold laugh, ignoring the cousin. Mia always told me her cousin was the one who protected her no matter what. It seemed that protection didn't require honesty. Even knowing Mia was in the wrong, she was still trying to help her lie. Birds of a feather. Seeing she couldn't get the phone, Mia tried to grab my arm again, tears streaming down her face. "Leo, please let me explain. Ethan and I just ran into each other. He was having a bad day, and I was just comforting him. It wasn't a kiss, it was... We just bumped into each other by accident." By accident? I yanked my arm away with more force than I intended, and she stumbled, nearly falling. I looked at her, feeling nothing but disgust. "You accidentally end up on your tiptoes with your arms around his neck? You accidentally kiss for that long? Mia, do you think I'm blind? Do you think everyone in this room is blind?" My mom, frantic, tugged at my sleeve. "Leo, just talk it out. Don't make a scene. Talk it out." I turned to my mom, my voice tired. "Mom, look at what she did in that video. How are we supposed to talk this out? I'm supposed to get a marriage license with her tomorrow, and today she's in another man's arms. If I actually go through with this, how am I supposed to hold my head up ever again?" My dad's face was grim. He sat silently, staring at his plate, clearly stunned by the whole thing. Mia was still crying, repeating, "It's a misunderstanding," over and over. But no matter how many tears she shed, they didn't stir an ounce of pity in me. I remembered all the times she'd been upset about something small, and a few tears from her would have me bending over backward to comfort her. Now I understood. Maybe the tears were real, but her heart had never been entirely mine. I picked up my phone, turned off the video, and addressed the entire table, my voice directed at Mia as much as anyone else. "To all my family, I'm truly sorry you had to see this." I paused, then delivered the final blow. As of today, my relationship with Mia is over. The appointment at City Hall tomorrow is canceled. Without waiting for a response, without looking at Mia's ghostly white face or her cousin's sputtering outrage, I turned and walked out of the room. As I reached the door, I heard Mia cry out my name, her voice choked with sobs. I didn't stop. I didn't even look back. The cool night air hit me as I left the restaurant, and my head felt clearer than it had all day. I didn't break down and cry like someone in a movie. I didn't turn back to confront her. All I wanted was to go home and purge every trace of her from my life. When I opened my apartment door, the first thing I saw were her pink slippers by the entrance and our matching keychains on the small table. Those little details used to feel so sweet. Now, they were just painful reminders. I didn't bother changing my shoes. I walked straight to the sofa, sat down, and started deleting things from my phone. First went her contact in my iMessage, along with our entire chat history. As my thumb swiped over old messages, I saw one from last winter. Leo, I saw a guy selling roasted chestnuts on my way home from work. I know you love them, so I bought you some. I'm waiting downstairs at your office. A pang of something hit my chest, but then the image of her on that street corner washed it away, replacing the ache with disgust. After iMessage came Facebook, Twitter, and the joint social media account we'd made. It was a stupid little thing we created to show off, filled with our photos and daily life. I didn't hesitate. I deactivated it. The notification account deletion successful popped up, and I felt a weight lift from my chest. Next, the phone number had to go. I knew Mia would blow up my phone with calls and texts. It was easier to just cut off all contact than to deal with the inevitable drama. I popped out my SIM card, dropped it in the trash, and ordered a new one online. It would arrive tomorrow. With that done, I stood up and started clearing out the apartment. On the bookshelf was the puzzle we'd assembled together. It was a birthday gift from me to her. It had taken me 2 weeks to finish. She cried when I gave it to her, saying, "This is the most thoughtful gift I've ever received." I took the framed puzzle down, glanced at it one last time, and shoved it into the bottom of a storage bin. No need to destroy it, but I never wanted to see it again. A quiet burial for the past. In the nightstand, I found our thick photo album. 7 years of memories were packed inside, from awkward college snapshots to photos from our vacations after we started working. I opened it to the first page, a picture from our first date. She was wearing a white floral dress, smiling so wide her eyes had crinkled into slits. She looked so innocent back then. How did she become the person she is now? I closed the album. I couldn't bring myself to tear up the photos, so I put it in the storage bin with the puzzle. It wasn't about holding on. It was just an acknowledgement that even if the 7 years were a mistake, I didn't need to obliterate every last trace of them. The day my new SIM card arrived, I decided to hit the gym, hoping to sweat out the last of my frustration. But as I pushed open the glass doors, I saw Mia. She was huddled by the front desk, her hair a mess, her eyes red and puffy like a rabbit's, staring right at me. She was resourceful, I'll give her that. She'd even figured out which gym I went to. Before I could turn around and leave, she was on her feet, rushing toward me. "Leo, you're finally here. I've been looking for you for days," she said, her voice thick with tears. She reached for my arm, the same way she always did when she wanted to make up after a fight. In the past, seeing her like this would have been enough to make me cave. Now, her touch felt like a hot iron. I instinctively sidestepped her. Her hand grasped at empty air, and she froze. "Don't follow me," I said without looking at her, my voice cold as ice. I walked straight toward the weight room. She trailed behind me, her steps hurried, her words a constant stream. "Leo, please just let me explain. That day was really a misunderstanding. Ethan and I were just..." "Shut up." I stopped and turned to face her, my disgust unconcealed. "I don't want to hear his name, and I don't want to hear your excuses. You know what you did. Stop lying to yourself." Without another word, I went to the bench press, adjusted the weight, and started my warm-up. Out of the corner of my eye, I could see her standing in a corner, watching me, motionless. We used to come to the gym together. She would hand me my water bottle, wipe the sweat from my brow, and after we were done, we'd grab a late-night bite to eat. On the way, she'd complain about some guy in the weight room with terrible form. Back then, I thought sharing even something as mundane as a workout with her was a special kind of happiness. Now, her presence just made my skin crawl. It killed any motivation I had. I pushed through my sets faster than usual, each movement harder, more aggressive. Sweat poured down my face, hitting the rubber floor, and with each drop, I felt some of the tension leave my body. A few times she tried to approach, but a single cold glare from me sent her retreating. After my last set, I grabbed my towel and water bottle and headed for the locker room, not even glancing in her direction. As I passed the front desk, the young woman working there whispered, "Sir, that lady has been here since we opened this morning." waiting for you." I just nodded without breaking my stride. Once I was outside, I finally let out a breath of relief. I looked back, but Mia hadn't followed me out. It wasn't that I was being cruel. It was that I knew, once something like this happens, it will happen again. If I softened now, it would only lead to more pain down the road. Since it was over, it needed to be a clean break. No lingering hope for her, and no chance of turning back for me. That evening, I was just getting home from a late night at the office. The breeze was cool, but as I turned into my apartment building's entryway, I saw a familiar figure crouched by the door. It was Mia. Her hair was disheveled, and her eyes were swollen. In her hand, she was clutching a white box of antacids, the brand I always use for my stomach problems. A surge of anger shot through me. I turned to leave, but she'd already heard me. She shot up and ran over. "Leo, you're finally back," she panted, out of breath. She reached for me, then stopped, her hand hovering in the air, afraid I'd pull away again. The box in her hand was crushed from her grip. "I know your stomach has been acting up," she said, her voice cracking. "This is the kind you always take. I bought you a new box. Stop acting." I cut her off, my voice frigid. "What's the point of all this?" Tears instantly welled in her eyes. "Leo, there's really nothing between me and Ethan. Please, just believe me," she choked out. I saw it with my own eyes. "How long are you going to keep lying to me?" I stared at her. I used to think her eyes were so bright. Now, they just looked full of deceit. "Mia, have some self-respect. Don't you feel ashamed, lying to yourself like this?" My words made her face turn pale, but she didn't give up. She tried to press the box of medicine into my hand. Even if you don't believe me, you have to take care of yourself. Your stomach gets so bad you break out in a cold sweat. Please, remember to take your medicine." I took the box from her. For a split second, a flicker of hope crossed her face. But in the next moment, I tossed the box into the trash can beside the entryway. It landed with a clatter, the pills scattering across the ground like her cheap, worthless displays of affection. "Leo," she shrieked, starting to bend down to pick them up. "Don't bother." I snapped. "I don't need your fake sympathy." I took a step toward her, my eyes burning with unconcealed loathing. "Mia, I'm telling you for the last time. We are over. Don't come looking for me. Don't show up at my building again. Or I won't be so polite. I used to have stomach problems, and she would make me chicken noodle soup and hand me my pills one by one. It felt so comforting back then. Now, the same gesture just made me sick. Where was all this concern when she was kissing Ethan? Did she think about my bad stomach then? She stood frozen, staring at the scattered pills on the ground, her body shaking with sobs. "Leo, how can you be so cruel? 7 years together. You're just going to throw it all away? You were the one who disrespected our relationship first," I said, turning to go inside. I didn't look back at her. "You're the one who destroyed it. Don't you dare blame me for being cruel now." As I walked into the building, I could still hear her crying, but I didn't feel a shred of sympathy. Some people, once they betray you, can never come back. I didn't want to get tangled up with her anymore. I didn't want to give her any chance to come back. When I got home, before I could even sit down, the door burst open. My mom stormed in, clutching a newspaper, her face as dark as a thundercloud. Before I could say a word, she slammed the paper down on the coffee table. "Leo, have you lost your mind?" she yelled, jabbing a finger at me. "A girl like Mia? She comes from a good family, has a stable career. People would kill for a girl like that, and you just throw her away?" I frowned, my own anger rising. "A good girl? A good girl who makes out with her ex-boyfriend the day before she's supposed to get her marriage license. So what?" My mom shot back, her tone dismissive. "It was just an ex causing some drama. A little hiccup. Can't you just let it go? You're going to destroy a marriage that could have let you skip 10 years of struggle. All for something this stupid? Are you an idiot? Skip 10 years of struggle." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I stared at my mom. "Mom, you think this is a small thing? This is betrayal. She cheated on me, on our 7 years together. Is that all you care about, skipping a decade of hard work? If I don't care about that, should I be as naive as you?" my mom retorted, her hand trembling with anger. "Your father and I worked our entire lives, getting up before dawn, just so you could have it easier, so you wouldn't have to struggle like we did. Do you know how much Mia's family could help you? If you marry her, you won't have to worry about a house or a car. Your kid's education will be set. Why can't you appreciate that? A relationship isn't a business deal." I ground out, a heavy pressure building in my chest. I would rather work myself to death than live an easy life bought with this kind of betrayal. I don't want a marriage where my wife is cheating on me. "You don't know anything," my mom slapped the coffee table. "What's all this talk about love? Life is about finding a partner and making it work. You just have to suck it up. Now you made this huge mess. You're going to regret this." "I won't regret it." I squared my shoulders and met her gaze. I would rather be single forever than spend my life with a woman who has someone else in her heart. Mom, I understand what you're thinking, but I can't do it. Do you have any idea how hard life has been for your father and me? She pointed at me, her voice cracking. When we were young, we worked rotating shifts at the factory. In the winter, our hands were so cold they would bleed. In the summer, we'd sweat so much we felt like we were shedding a layer of skin. All just to earn enough to pay for your tuition, to save for a down payment on a place for you. We worked our whole lives so you could stand on our shoulders, so you could have it easier, so you wouldn't have to suffer like we did. Seeing her so emotional made me feel bad, but I didn't back down. Mom, I know you've had it tough, and I want you to have a good life too, but not like this. Like what? She cut me off, her voice sharper now. Mia's family can open doors for you, let you skip 10 years of grinding away. Isn't that a good life? And just because she hugged her ex, you're going to throw it all away? You're just destroying your own future. A hug. I laughed, a bitter, humorless sound. I pulled out my phone, found the video, and shoved it in her face. Mom, look closely. Does this look like a hug? This is a kiss. She's on her toes, with her arms wrapped around his neck. This is betrayal, and you're telling me to just tolerate it? How? What? So if we get married and she does this with someone else, I'm just supposed to look the other way and pretend everything is fine? A man needs to be flexible. My mom turned away, refusing to watch the video, but still trying to defend her point. Every family has its problems. Just put up with it, get your hands on her family's money, and you'll be set. You've made such a scene now, you'll never find another girl with her kind of background. I'd rather never find one than live a life where I have to swallow my pride every single day. I put my phone back in my pocket, my chest aching. Mom, your idea of a future is skipping 10 years of work, it's a house and a car. But my idea of a future is a life built on trust, with a partner who only has eyes for me. I don't want your version of a future if it means being cheated on. You're hopeless. My mom was shaking with fury. She grabbed the glass from the table as if to smash it, then slammed it back down. How did I raise such a stubborn fool? You just wait. You will regret this decision. I won't regret it, I said, my gaze steady. Even if my life is harder, at least I'll have a clear conscience. At least I'll have my dignity. My mom stared at me for a long moment, then let out a heavy sigh and walked to the door. Before she left, she threw one last line over her shoulder. Don't come crying to me later. The door slammed shut with a deafening bang. I sank onto the sofa, the empty living room feeling cold and vast. I always thought home was supposed to be a safe harbor, but now I realize that when your values clash, the people closest to you can hurt you the most. But I didn't regret it. I knew what I was doing. Some lines can't be crossed. Some things you can't compromise on. Even if the whole world doesn't understand, I have to stand my ground. I worked late that night, until 10. As I walked out of the office building, my phone buzzed. It was a text from an unknown number. The profile picture was of one of Mia's friends, someone I met a few times. The message made me frown. Leo, I'm begging you. Mia stood outside your apartment all night in the rain. She has a fever of 102 now. She's at the hospital on at 4, completely out of it. She just keeps saying your name. Can you please come see her? I stared at the screen, feeling nothing. It was almost laughable. Where was all this desperation when she was kissing Ethan on the street? Now, she knows how to play the victim card to get sympathy. My finger hovered over the screen for a second before I long pressed the message and deleted it. I blocked the number too. In the past, if she had even a slight headache, I would have been frantic. Once, when she had the flu, I drove to 3 different pharmacies late at night to find the right medicine, and then sat by her bed all night, putting cool cloths on her forehead. I never closed my eyes. Back then, I thought she was the person I would spend my life with, and taking care of her was my duty. But now, she could have a fever of 104 for all I cared. It had nothing to do with me. She made her choice. She had to live with the consequences. I put my phone away and hailed a cab home. The next day at work, I took a break to go to the hospital and pick up my recent medical report. As I was walking past the inpatient wing, I overheard 2 nurses talking. That girl in bed 3, it's so sad. A fever of 102, but her boyfriend has been by her side the whole time. He just want to get her some soup. Yeah, but she keeps calling out another name. Leo, I think. I paused. I didn't have to guess who they were talking about. And the boyfriend had to be Ethan. Good. Since they decided to rekindle their old flame, they should just be together and stay out of my life. I didn't linger. I went straight to the clinic. When I got my report, the doctor told me my stomach ulcer had gotten a little worse. He advised me to manage my stress and not let things bottle up. I nodded, but I already knew. The anger and hurt I'd been suppressing had taken their toll on my body. As I walked toward the hospital exit with my report, I hesitated for a moment. I wasn't looking for anyone, but I happened to glance into the IV therapy room and saw a familiar figure standing by the door. Ethan. He was wearing a black jacket, his hair was a bit messy, and he was clutching a thermos, looking down into the room. When he heard my footsteps, his head snapped up, his eyes widened in panic, and he instinctively tried to block the doorway, as if to hide the person inside. His guilt was written all over his face. I stopped where I was and just looked at him. I had only ever seen his picture on Mia's Instagram, and I thought he looked decent enough. But now, seeing him in person, I could see the cowardice and calculation in his eyes. He couldn't hide it. El Leo, Ethan stammered, his hand tightening around the thermos. What are you doing here? I'm picking up a medical report, I said calmly, my gaze shifting past him into the room. Mia was lying in a hospital bed, her face pale, her eyes closed, and 4-line was taped to the back of her hand, fluid dripping slowly into her veins. I used to be the one sitting by her bed when she was sick. Now it was Ethan. Good. Back to the rightful owner. At least now, she couldn't play the victim with me anymore. Seeing me look inside, Ethan got even more flustered. He took a step forward, completely blocking my view. Mia, she's still running a fever. She just fell asleep. Not my problem, I said, pulling my gaze back to his. I didn't come here to see her. I just happened to run into you. He bit his lip, looking like he wanted to say something, but couldn't find the words. After a few seconds, he finally managed to get something out. Leo, I know you hate me, but Mia and I are truly in love. Truly in love? I scoffed. Does true love involve sneaking around behind someone's back? Does it involve kissing someone the day before they're supposed to get married? Ethan, don't talk to me about true love. You're not qualified. Neither is she. His face flushed red, then turned pale. He opened his mouth to say something else, but just then, I heard hurried footsteps behind me. I turned to see my mom. She had obviously come to the hospital to check on me, and I guess she hadn't expected to walk into this scene. My mom froze, her eyes darting between me and Ethan, finally settling on him. Her brow furrowed. Who are you? What are you arguing with my son about? Ethan shrank back under my mom's intense stare, not daring to speak. But from the hospital bed, Mia's weak voice called out, Mom. Mom. My mom finally noticed Mia in the bed, then looked back at Ethan standing guard. It all clicked. The color drained from her face. You're that Ethan? The one who ruined my son's marriage. Before Ethan could say a word, my mom lunged forward, grabbing him by the collar and shoving him hard. Have you no shame? They were about to get married, and you just had to interfere. What did my son ever do to you that you had to humiliate him like this? Ethan stumbled back, catching himself on the bed frame. His face was beet red as he shot back. We're in love. Mia Shuzma. It has nothing to do with your son. In love. My mom's hands were shaking with rage. She pointed a finger at Ethan's face. Is this what you call love? Stealing someone else's fiancée? You think you can justify this? Let me tell you, this isn't over. I'm going to make sure everyone at your job knows exactly what kind of person you are. The commotion drew the attention of other patients and nurses, who started to gather around, whispering and pointing. Some even pulled out their phones to record. I watched the chaotic scene unfold with a dull sense of detachment. It was all just noise. I used to think that no matter how much my mom cared about money and status, she was at least on my side. But watching her fight with Ethan over a marriage that was already dead, I just found it pathetic. She wasn't upset about my pain. She was upset that the marriage that would have let me skip 10 years of struggle was gone. I stepped forward and took my mom's arm. Mom, stop, I said, my voice flat. It's not worth it. She was still furious. She turned on me. What do you mean it's not worth it? This guy ruined your future. We can't just let him get away with it. Whether we let him get away with it or not, it has nothing to do with me anymore. I stuffed my medical report into my pocket and looked at her. I came to the hospital to get my results, not to get into a fight. If you're done here, let's go home. Don't stand here and let these people treat us like a spectacle. With that, I turned and walked away, not sparing another glance for my mom, Ethan, or the pleading look on Mia's face. Back home, I laid the medical report on the table. The words stomach ulcer has worsened. Immediate hospitalization for treatment is recommended didn't surprise me. It felt more like an inevitability. All the anger and hurt I'd been bottling up for weeks had finally taken its toll. When Mia and I were together, she was always nagging me about my stomach, telling me to eat on time and making me different kinds of bland, healthy soups. Back then, I thought having someone worry about my health was the most comforting kind of happiness. Now I realized the only person I could truly rely on was myself. Without hesitation, I called my office and requested an extended medical leave. My boss asked if something serious had happened. I just said I wasn't feeling well and needed some time to recover, leaving out all the messy details. There was no need to air my dirty laundry for everyone to see. After the call, I started packing a bag for the hospital. The first thing I saw when I opened my closet was the gray hoodie Mia had bought me last year. She'd said the color made me look good. I used to wear it all the time. Now, the sight of it was like a needle in my eye. I yanked it off the hanger and threw it into a trash bag. On my desk was the bottle of antacids she had tried to give me. I'd thrown them in the trash outside, but the cleaning crew must have missed them, so I brought them back inside. How pathetic. I picked up the bottle and, without a second thought, tossed it in the garbage. I finished packing quickly. The suitcase contained only my things. Nothing of Mia's remained. Looking at the empty spaces in my closet and on my desk, I suddenly felt a sense of relief. I used to think I could never just sever a 7-year relationship. All the things connected to her, it felt like a waste to throw them out, but it was agonizing to keep them. Now I understood. Keeping those things was like keeping the pain alive, feeding the source of my own misery. My body had sent a clear warning. I couldn't keep fighting myself. This hospital stay would be a good chance to heal, both physically and mentally. Tomorrow, I'd check myself in and leave all this garbage, the bad memories and the toxic people, behind me. The first day in the hospital, a nurse showed me to my room. It had a bed by the window where the sun streamed in. It was comfortable enough. My days fell into a quiet, predictable rhythm. Blood draws and temperature checks at 7, medication at 8, a nutritious meal delivered at noon, an afternoon spent either on a 4-drip or listening to a doctor's instructions. I used to feel like something was missing from my life without Mia, but now I realized that without her, I finally had the peace and quiet to focus on myself. During my 4 treatments, I'd read a book I'd been meaning to finish or listen to a podcast about career development or personal growth. The painful memories didn't seem to invade my thoughts as easily here. One day, a nurse came to change my 4 bag and mentioned casually, "A young woman was at the nurse's station yesterday, asking for your room number. Very pretty. Said she was your friend." I paused, the book in my hands feeling heavy. I knew it had to be Mia. I looked up at the nurse. "If she comes back, could you please just tell her I've already been discharged?" "Thank you." The nurse looked a little surprised, but just nodded and left. I stared out the window at the trees, feeling nothing. Whatever she was doing now, it had nothing to do with me. If she had come to visit me in the past, I would have been overjoyed. Now it just felt like a burden. At night, when I couldn't sleep, I'd write a little in a journal. As my pen moved across the page, I found myself writing, "You have to say goodbye to the wrong person to find the right life." I stared at the words for a long time. It was true. I had been so hung up on our 7 years together, so unwilling to let go. Now I knew that holding on to the wrong person only holds you back. During one of his rounds, my doctor asked how I was feeling emotionally. I told him I was good, much more relaxed than before. He smiled. "A good attitude is key to a fast recovery. That ulcer of yours is closely linked to stress. Try not to dwell on things anymore." I nodded. I knew this hospital stay wasn't just about my physical health. It was about healing my mind. I had spent so much of my life living for other people, catering to Mia's moods, trying to meet my mom's expectations, that I'd forgotten what I truly wanted for myself. Now, taking my medicine on time, eating well, and getting proper rest, I could feel myself getting better both inside and out. The occasional thought of Mia and our past no longer brought that sharp sting of pain. It was more like remembering something from a long, long time ago. On my 5th day in the hospital, a nurse came in pushing a cart. She was also carrying a large, overflowing gift bag, which she placed on my bedside table. "Mr. Chun," she said, "someone just dropped this off for you. Some nutritional supplements and fruit." I glanced at the logo on the bag. It was from the upscale fruit boutique Mia used to frequent. I knew instantly. No one else would send me something like this. But I hadn't told her I was in the hospital. I could guess who had leaked the information, my mom. "Who sent it?" I asked, my voice turning cold. I didn't touch the bag. The nurse thought for a moment. "A very pretty young woman. She didn't leave a name, just said it was for the patient in bed 3. It was her." I pointed at the bag. "Could you please return it to sender, exactly as it is? And add a message for me. To say I don't need it. Don't bother." The nurse was taken aback by my bluntness, but she nodded. "Okay, I'll take care of that for you." After she left, I felt a surge of anger. I pulled out my phone and called my mom. The second she picked up, I demanded, "Mom, did you tell Mia I was in the hospital?" There was a pause on the other end. She didn't deny it. Instead, her voice was defensive. "She was just worried about you. What's wrong with her sending you a gift? Do you have to be so cruel?" "Worried about me?" I laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. If she was so worried about me, she wouldn't have been making out with another guy the day before our wedding. What is she trying to prove now? Playing the part of the caring ex. "And you know we're done. Why are you helping her build these bridges?" I'm doing it for your own good, my mom's voice rose. Mia comes from a good family, and she knows she made a mistake. Sending a gift is her way of trying to make things right. And what do? You just throw it back in her face. You have no class. Class. I gripped my phone so tightly my knuckles turned white. When she betrayed me, did she think about giving me any dignity? All I want right now is to recover in peace. I don't want anything to do with her. Can you please just stay out of it? Stay out of it? I'm your mother. Am I trying to hurt you? My mom shot back, her tone full of resentment. Mia said she'll be good to you from now on. Can't you just give her another chance? Do you have to make things so hostile? Mom, I'm telling you for the last time, it is never going to happen between me and Mia. My voice was low and firm. Don't bring her up to me again, and don't act as her messenger. If you can't do that, then you and I won't be able to have a civil conversation either. I hung up before she could respond and immediately silenced my phone. A little while later, the nurse returned and told me the gift had been sent back and my message delivered. I nodded, a small bit of tension finally leaving my shoulders. On my 7th day in the hospital, my mom showed up with a thermos. She seemed unusually subdued, avoiding eye contact as she placed it on the table. After a long, awkward silence, she finally mumbled, Leo, Mia's family. They sent some money over. They said it's for your recovery. The book I was reading slipped from my fingers. I looked up at her. And you took it? My mom's eyes darted away. She couldn't look at me. It was a gesture of goodwill, she said, her voice barely a whisper. She said she knows she was wrong and wants to make it up to you. Make it up to me. I slammed my book down on the bedside table, my voice rising. She betrayed me, and she thinks a little money makes it all okay? Mom, what do you think my relationship was? Something you could put a price tag on. My shouting made her flinch, but then her own anger flared up. I was just trying to help. The money is her showing she's sorry. What's wrong with you using it to pay your medical bills? Besides, she's already humbled herself this much. Can't you just give her another chance? A chance? I pointed at my chest, where my heart was still throbbing with a dull ache. When I found her with Ethan, did she think about giving me a chance? And now she thinks she can buy my forgiveness? Do you really think that's possible? I always thought my mom was obsessed with material things because she'd had such a hard life. But now, hearing that she had taken me as compensation money and was still trying to push me back to her, I felt a profound sense of disappointment and heartbreak. I remembered when I was a kid, she used to tell me, you have to have integrity. Don't just take things from people. She taught me to be an honorable person, but now, for the sake of an easier life, she was asking me to swallow this massive humiliation. You can keep the money, I said, my voice cold and unwavering. I don't want it. And from now on, don't mention Mia's name to me again, and don't act as her go-between. If you still consider me your son, then stay out of it. Otherwise, we won't have anything left to talk about. My mom just stood there, stunned, probably not expecting me to be so firm. She opened her mouth to say something, but seeing the look in my eyes, she fell silent. After a long moment, she picked up the thermos from the table and walked out of the room. The door closed with a soft click. The day I was discharged from the hospital, the sun was shining brightly. I walked out with my bag, took a deep breath of fresh air, and felt a sense of release. No more smell of antiseptic, no more being bogged down by all that drama. On the way home, I made a decision. I was going to sell the condo. Mia and I had picked it out together last year. It was in a great location with a bright, open layout. I remember us sitting on the floor of the model unit, her pointing to the balcony and talking about putting a hanging chair there, and me promising to build her a set of custom bookshelves. Mia had said her parents would pay for it, but I secretly used all of my own savings to buy it myself. I wanted to give her the best. Back then, my heart was full of hope for our future. Thinking about it now, it all felt like a joke. The next day, I called a real estate agent and listed the property. When the agent came to take pictures, he saw the brand new, still-wrapped construction materials and asked, "This place is practically new. Why are you selling so suddenly?" I kept it vague, just looking for a change of scenery. But I knew the real reason. I wanted to completely sever all ties with my past. That condo was filled with memories of me and Mia. Keeping it would be like keeping a thorn in my side, always there to prick me when I least expected it. Later, when the agent was showing the place, potential buyers would often comment, "The design has a really cozy feel. Did a couple decorate it together?" Each time, I'd quickly cut them off. "Oh, I just threw some stuff together. If you buy it, you can redo it however you like." I even told the agent specifically not to mention anything about couples or a first home, and had all the artwork and curtains Mia and I had picked out taken down, replacing them with the most minimalist options I could find. After about 2 weeks of this, the condo finally sold. The day the money came through, I went to the bank, opened a new account, and when I deposited the funds, I labeled the transaction New Life Startup Capital. Seeing the balance on my banking app, I felt an incredible sense of relief. I remembered how I'd had to borrow money from friends and get an advance on my bonus from work just to scrape together the down payment. I'd been so frugal, all because I wanted to secure that place and give Mia a home. And what did she do? She enjoyed all my efforts while secretly keeping her ex-boyfriend on the side. Selling that condo felt like shedding that toxic relationship. I felt lighter. The day after the sale closed, I walked into my boss's office with my letter of resignation. I placed it on his desk. "Mark, I'd like to resign." He was surprised. He picked up the letter, scanned it, and looked up at me. "Why the sudden decision? You just got started on this new project, and you're doing great work." I just smiled, not wanting to get into the messy details. "I just need a change of environment. I'm thinking of moving to Portland to see what opportunities are there." The truth was, I needed to escape this city. It was haunted by memories. The coffee shop on the corner, the gym I always went to, even the convenience store downstairs from my office. They were all tied to Mia. Staying here felt like being suffocated by the past. Mark tried to persuade me. "Think it over. The company is giving out raises soon. It's a bad time to leave." "My mind is made up, Mark," I said firmly. "I appreciate everything the company has done for me over the years. I'll make sure everything is properly handed off to my replacement." Seeing I was resolute, he didn't push any further. He sighed and signed the letter. "All right then. I wish you all the best." Back at my desk, as I was packing up my things, I saw the little succulent plant Mia had given me. "It'll cheer you up when you look at it," she'd said. I used to water it every day. Now it just seemed out of place. I handed it to the colleague at the next desk. "I can't take this with me. You can have it if you like." My colleague took the plant, looking puzzled. "Are you really leaving? Will you be back?" "Probably not," I said, sorting through my files. "But we'll see each other around." The night before my last day, a few close friends from work took me out for a farewell dinner. My friend raised his glass. "Here's to your freedom. Go kill it in Portland. The future is yours." I clinked my glass against his and downed my drink in one gulp. "Thanks. I think so too." After dinner, I did one final check of my packed luggage. Once I was sure I hadn't forgotten anything, I took out my phone and started deleting contacts. People from the gym, old classmates, anyone connected to Mia, all gone. When I got to my mom's new number, I hesitated for a moment, then deleted it too, only saving it in a secure note as an emergency contact. It wasn't that I was being heartless. I just knew that as long as we were in regular contact, she would inevitably bring up Mia and all the things that caused me so much stress. The next morning, I dragged my suitcase to the train station. Standing in the waiting hall, I looked up at the departures board and saw the train to Portland listed. I took a deep breath. When the train pulled into Portland, a light rain was falling, and the air smelled fresh and clean. I walked out of the station alone, hailed a cab, and went straight to the apartment I had rented online. It was on the 12th floor, with a small balcony and great natural light. The moment I opened the door, I felt a wave of relief. There were no ghosts here. The walls were clean, the floors were polished, and even the air felt new. That afternoon, I went to a furniture store and bought a simple wooden desk and a comfortable sofa. I also picked up a couple of houseplants, a pot hose to hang on the balcony, and another succulent for the windowsill. Mia always used to say I had no taste, that everything I bought was too plain. But looking at the furniture I had chosen for myself, I felt perfectly content. Assembling the desk was a bit of a struggle, my hands aching from tightening all the screws, but it felt good. This was truly my own space. The next day, I reported to my new job. The receptionist greeted me with a smile and a new ID badge, and my department head personally introduced me to the team. Everyone was friendly and welcoming. One of my new colleagues said, "You're Leo, right? I heard you've worked on some big projects. We're looking forward to learning from you." I smiled back, the knot of anxiety in my stomach slowly loosening. The first day wasn't too intense, mostly just getting familiar with the projects. During our lunch break, a new colleague invited me to a coffee shop downstairs, and we chatted about the best food and sights in Portland. It was a relaxed, easygoing atmosphere, something I'd never experienced at my old job. I used to be so focused on rushing home to be with Mia. Now I could finally concentrate on my work. On my way home from the office, I walked past a small park and saw a couple holding hands. The woman laughed and playfully punched the man's arm, and he tucked her hand into his pocket to keep it warm. In the past, a sight like that would have made me think of Mia and feel a pang of sadness. But now I just glanced at them and kept walking, my heart completely untroubled. Back at my apartment, I made myself a bowl of noodles with an egg and some greens. I sat on my new sofa, eating while looking out at the city lights. The warm glow of the street lamps was comforting. I took out my phone and sent a picture of my balcony view to an old friend. The caption read, "The new place? Not bad." He replied almost instantly, "Looks great. Enjoy the new life." I smiled and texted back, I will, then put my phone down and went back to my noodles. They were a little salty, but I enjoyed every bite. 3 weeks after moving to Portland, I was coming home from work and saw I had a package notification. I scanned the code at the delivery locker, and a thick envelope was inside. There was no sender's name, just an unfamiliar address. I took it upstairs, a strange feeling in my gut that this wasn't just junk mail. I tore open the padded mailer. Inside was a neatly folded letter. The salutation read, "To Leo," in handwriting I recognized instantly. It was from Mia. I held the letter, feeling no desire to open it. She used to leave me little notes all the time. Saw you were working late, left you some food in the fridge, or it's supposed to rain, don't forget your umbrella. I used to fold them up and keep them in my wallet. Now, the sight of her handwriting just made me feel sick. Without a moment's hesitation, I dropped the letter, envelope and all, into the trash. She had nothing to say that I wanted to hear. It was too late. A couple of days later, I got a friend request on my phone. The profile picture was a stranger, but the message read, "It's Ethan. I like to talk." Just seeing his name made my temples throb. The last time I saw him at the hospital, I told him to take care of his new girlfriend and stay out of my life. And now he was trying to add me as a friend? The nerve of this guy. I opened the request, ignored whatever else he had written, and hit decline and block. I also added his number to my blocked list for good measure. I tossed my phone onto the sofa, completely fed up. I had moved to a different city to get away from them. Why couldn't they just leave me alone? Did I have to spell it out for them in harsher terms? I thought back to all the times Mia had insisted Ethan was in the past. She had even deleted his contact information in front of me, promising, from now on, it's just you and me. It was all a lie. The two of them deserve each other. One was a cheater, and the other was shameless enough to try and play the good guy. That night, I changed my phone settings to only accept calls from people in my contacts. I didn't want to see any more messages from them. Not Mia's apologies, not Ethan's request to talk. It was all just harassment to me. The next day at work, a colleague noticed I looked tired and asked if I was getting enough sleep. I just shook my head and smiled. I'm fine, just a little off last night. On Friday evening, I was in the kitchen making noodles when my phone rang. I picked it up and saw it was an unknown number, but the last few digits were familiar. It was my mom's old number, one I had kept for emergencies. I wiped my hands and answered. There was a pause, and then I heard my mom's voice, quieter and softer than I was used to. "Leo, are you doing okay over there?" I was taken aback. My hand, holding the ladle, froze mid-air. Every other time she had called me, it was either to pressure me to get back with Mia or to yell at me for being so stubborn. She had never just asked how I was doing. "I'm good," I said, my tone neutral, devoid of the emotion that usually colored our conversations. "Work is going well, and the apartment is comfortable." There was another silence on the line, and then I heard her sigh. "About before. I was wrong. I shouldn't have pushed you like that, and I shouldn't have taken that money from Mia. Don't hold it against me." Hearing her say that felt like a gentle nudge to a bruised part of my heart. I thought she would never admit she was wrong, that she would always believe that what she thought was best for me was more important than my feelings. Now that she was apologizing, I didn't know what to say. "It's okay," I said after a moment. I added, "You should take care of yourself too. Don't stay up so late playing on your phone." In the past, whenever I nagged her about staying up late, she would either call me annoying or just hang up. This time, she didn't argue. She just said, "Okay," and then asked cautiously, "So, will you ever come back?" I looked at the noodles boiling in the pot and remembered how, when I lived at home, my mom would always make me noodles in the morning before work, with 2 fried eggs on top. "So you have energy for the day," she'd say. We used to argue sometimes, but we were never as distant as we had become. "We'll see," I said softly. "Things are good here for now. Once I'm more settled, I'll come back and visit." We talked for a little longer. She asked if my new colleagues were nice and what the weather was like in Portland. She didn't mention Mia once. As we were about to hang up, she added, "If you need anything, call me. Don't try to handle everything by yourself." After I hung up, my noodles were ready. I dished them out, added a splash of vinegar, and as I ate, I realized they tasted better than usual. On the 3-month anniversary of my move to Portland, I went to the hospital for a follow-up on my stomach ulcer. The doctor looked at my report and smiled. "You're healing up nicely. No more pain recently, right? Keep up this positive mindset, and you'll be fine." These past 3 months have been genuinely peaceful. The project at my new job was going smoothly, and last week, my boss praised me in a team meeting for being a quick learner and a strong contributor, even giving me a performance bonus. On weekends, I'd either go for a run in the park or stay home and read. Sometimes I'd go out for hot pot with my new colleagues. I used to always have to eat the bland food Mia preferred. Now, I could finally eat all the spicy food I wanted without having to accommodate anyone else. Once when we were out for hot pot, the server brought a split pot, and a colleague asked me, spicy or mild? I pointed to the bubbling red chili oil without a second thought. As I watched the peppers and peppercorns dance in the broth, I remembered how Mia used to say, spicy food is bad for your stomach. You should avoid it. I used to listen to her, thinking she was looking out for me. Now, I realized that real care isn't about restriction. It's about respecting the other person's preferences. But thinking about it now stirred nothing in me. The memories tied to Mia had long since been cleared away. That evening, I got home from work and opened the balcony doors. A gentle breeze, carrying the faint scent of flowers, drifted in. I pulled a chair out onto the balcony and watched the sunset. The clouds were a brilliant orange, spread across the sky like a painting. I had been so busy with work, so busy with Mia, that I had never taken the time to just sit and watch a sunset. Now, I finally had the time to enjoy this quiet moment. My phone vibrated in my pocket. It was a text from my mom. The weather's getting colder. Remember to wear a jacket. I texted back. Got it. You take care too. Since her apology, we have been exchanging occasional messages, just simple, everyday things. No talk of Mia, no mention of the past. Our relationship was slowly healing. I looked out at the fading light, a small smile on my face. In these 3 months, I had quit staying up late and started eating regular meals. My ulcer hadn't flared up once. My career was on a good track, and I had made new friends. I no longer had to deal with Mia's drama or argue with my mom about my future. My life was simple, but it was full. Those awful days were finally over. The hurt and resentment had finally faded. From now on, I was going to work hard, live well, and love myself. The end.